Welcome to the Shaping Portsmouth podcast. Shaping Portsmouth is a collaboration of key Portsmouth businesses, transforming Portsmouth together. Welcome to another Shaping Portsmouth podcast with me, CEO Dave Humphreys, and today I am joined by Helen Morton, who is the communications lead at The Hive. Welcome, Helen.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. So, communications lead at The Hive, I'm making an assumption that people listening will know what The Hive is and where it is. So, but just in case they don't, we'll come back to that in a moment. But a bit about yourself. So how long have you worked at The Hive?
I've been there for just over 3 years now.
3 years. And what did you do before you worked for The Hive?
My most recent job was at the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency on their press team, so dealing with the press inquiries which were coming in to us, talking about incidents. And prior to that, I've worked all over, really. I worked at Portsmouth Hospital. Before that, I was in journalism, worked for local authorities. So I've done a little bit of everything, but all around journalism and comms.
Journalism and comms. So, and are you from Portsmouth originally?
Originally, I'm from Hagley, which is in the West Midlands, quite near Birmingham. Our most famous sort of person to come out of Hagley was Adrian Chiles. So
okay.
Pretty special place. But I've been down south since I was about 18 years old, which is a long time now.
Special because Adrian Chiles come out of it? Or?
Yeah, he went to my high school. Also Jude Bellingham.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. Local boy.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people that would probably put Jude Bellingham first over Adrian Chiles. Don't know. But yeah, okay. So ended down here because of university and never gone back.
Yeah, stayed, especially once I'd settled down and had my children. I think I'm not stuck because I love living in the south. But yeah, I see my future very much in the south of England.
Brilliant. And then obviously now working for The Hive, which is a fantastic community organisation in the city. But for people not familiar with The Hive or particularly what they do, how would you explain it?
So we have a really broad overview, but our basic sort of principle is that we're just trying to help people in Portsmouth. And we do that in a number of ways. So we've got our front desk, which a lot of people know us for, our help desk, where people can come in and ask any questions. They can call or email, and we'll try and support them by signposting them to other organisations in the city that would be able to help them. And our school uniform share store is really popular. People could come in, get free school uniforms, which have been donated by other members of the community. So that's really popular. We also do quite a lot around health and wellbeing. We've got a wellbeing collective where we're trying to reduce hospital admissions. If people come out of hospital and they need extra support, we'll again be signposting them to agencies who can help them. And we do that alongside the British Red Cross. And we do quite a lot of health research as well. So that health aspect is sort of covered off by that. We also have a mental health team who are looking to support people with mental health in the city, looking at how those services are operating and how they can be improved. We work to combat digital exclusion to make sure that people can get online. So we're covering all these areas of work really, and also just supporting the VCSE community in general in terms of reaching out to local organisations and seeing where we can support with things like bid writing or trusteeship or any sort of support that they might need. We'll be there for them. So all sorts of areas of work, but really linked together by the fact that we're just trying to support people in Portsmouth. Brilliant.
And that's some of that stuff's how we at Shaping Portsmouth link into you. I think that we've kind of described ourselves as sister organisations a number of times, and certainly people that are listening from within the business community will have heard us talking about the charity support, the trustee, particularly recruitment. So areas that we tie in and work with you on. So amongst all the charity stuff that goes on within The Hive, you mentioned bid writing there, and as well as bidding out to other organisations for funding, charities, and not just charities, some community groups can bid into The Hive for funding as well, can't they?
They can, yeah. So through our Portsmouth Community Lottery, we give away grants of up to £1,000 for community groups. We've tried to make the process extremely easy. And yeah, we've supported all sorts of groups through that Portsmouth Community Lottery so far, and it's something that we're quite really pleased that we're able to do.
And obviously, especially some of those smaller community groups that probably haven't even got charitable status would struggle to get that funding from other places. So it kind of represents a bit of a lifeline in terms of what it can do to help those groups and get things going for the good of our communities.
It does, and the sort of areas of work that we're able to support through the lottery, a lot of funding pots will be quite restricted in terms of what we can be used for, but as long as it's for the good of the community, really, we'll support it. So we've supported with all sorts of things in the past, from subsidised badminton training to updating your marketing materials or putting on an event for Christmas for carers. So there's all sorts of things this pot of money could be used for. And we're really keen to make it as accessible as possible for groups. So if a group, like you say, a very small group who might not necessarily be so established and might not be used to bidding for funding, they can come and just talk to us and say, this is what we want to bid for. Do you have any advice about how we're most likely to be successful? And in the past, we've run, specific workshops that people can attend to find out more about the community lottery and how to successfully bid for funding. But we've just updated our online form for how people can apply, and actually we've tried to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, because anyone that has worked in any form of bid writing will know it's not always easy and straightforward. And if only grant funders would all use the same form, life would be so much easier. But sometimes it can be really, really complicated and difficult. But the Portsmouth Community Lottery is quite intentionally simple.
Yes.
And I suppose accessible and inclusive is probably the way to describe it. We're trying to make it as accessible to community groups, residents associations, whoever might need to bid as possible.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very straightforward. And as I say, if anybody's got any issues, they can always just contact us and we will sit down with them, talk them through it, make sure that they can stand the best possible chance, because we want to give the money away. We want it to go to as many groups as possible and do as much good in the community as possible.
Absolutely. And you listed a number of different things there that the community lottery grants have supported. One of those that you didn't mention is this podcast.
Yes.
Actually. And so people will notice at the end we have a little line that says supported by Spark Community Space and the Portsmouth Community Lottery, because the funding for us to put these podcasts on came from the community lottery. So it's really quite diverse, and there aren't any real limitations around what people can bid for.
No.
It's just linking it back to that community project or initiative, isn't it?
Exactly. As long as it's doing good in the community and supporting the people of Portsmouth, it will stand a very good chance of getting approved.
Yeah. Now, whilst we've spoken about how easy it is for people to bid and the sort of things that they could get money for, the bigger problem is the other end and where the money comes from. And I suppose the fact that it's called the Portsmouth Community Lottery gives us a bit of a clue as to how the money's raised.
Yeah.
So do you want to explain how the whole process works?
Yes, sure. So it's a very simple process, really, in that people can just sign up to buy tickets. Tickets are £1 per go, and everybody stands a 1 in 25 chance of winning. And whereas the National Lottery and a lot of other lotteries will have a relatively small percentage of money that actually goes to support good causes, 60% of all the funds raised go directly into good causes in Portsmouth. And people can either choose to support a cause very close to their heart. So there's lots of organisations signed up. You can scroll through the list and click on one that takes your fancy, or you can go direct through the organisation itself, or you can just choose to support the Portsmouth Community Lottery, in which case the money raised will go back to us at Hive Portsmouth, who will then distribute it out to local good causes who have come to us and bid for the money. So
Yeah.
it's a great way of supporting your community while also being in with a chance of winning some pretty good prizes.
Yeah, and I think it's the top prize is about £25,000.
25,000, yes, and we did have a winner from Portsmouth a few years ago, actually. So
Yeah.
it's not out of reach.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of winners, smaller amounts, 2,500 or 250, but we do see a lot of winners. People, once they start playing, they really seem to enjoy it and get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
I think partly that's being in with a chance to win, but also it's the knowing that that money that you are putting down is going to support some great causes.
So yeah, and the good thing is it's £1 a go, so it's cheaper than the National Lottery. And I'm not saying everyone should leave the National Lottery here and stop supporting that and join the Portsmouth one, but you can do both. But also you can sign up in exactly the same way through like a direct debit arrangement, so that you just sign up and you can forget about it, and it all looks after itself. But I think that point you've made about 60p in every pound goes back to the good causes linked to the community lottery, but also that then might for some people raise the question around, hang on a minute, where's the other 40p going? That's predominantly the prize money that the lottery pays out. So it's not as if someone's making a profit out of this. It's the money is very much going to good causes and not to admin charges or profiteering.
There's a breakdown on the website of exactly where all the money goes, and it's there is an admin cost, but it is very small compared to the 60% that goes to good causes. And as you say, the money that goes back into the pot, which everybody then stands a chance of winning, it's really very low admin costs.
And that's really good, that transparency that people can see where the money is going. So if I want to buy a ticket, where do I go and how do I do it?
The easiest way to do it is just to go online. So it's www.portsmouthlottery.co.uk, and there's a button there that you can just sign up to become a regular player, buy tickets ad hoc. So that's the easiest way to do it. Organisations themselves who have signed up will also sort of actively be looking to sort of recruit people from their own membership to play the lottery on their behalf. But if you're not affiliated with any particular charity organisation, I'd say just go on the website.
So when you go onto that page, it gives you some options, doesn't it? You see all of those organisations.
Yes.
So if you want, you can sign up to a particular organisation, and that's where your donation goes.
Yeah.
What we're urging people to do here is to choose the Portsmouth Community Lottery as the organisation they sign up to out of all of those, because then their money goes into those grant bids that we've mentioned.
It goes into the general pot. But we're not against people signing up to individual charities, because a percentage of that will still cut, a lower percentage, but a percentage will still go into the general pot. But yeah, absolutely. The more we can get in that general pot, the more grants we can give to these really great causes.
And this is that dilemma when you don't know which charity to give to.
Yes.
By giving to that pot, you're giving to every charity, because every charity and community organisation in the city can bid for up to £1,000 per year, as we've already said. So you're kind of spreading the love a bit by signing up to that one.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The good thing about this is at Shaping Portsmouth, we sit on the panel. Yes. So I get to see where all that money's going, and I get to read the bids. And I suppose part of that is the reason why we're having this conversation, because at the moment, the requests for funding are outstripping the available funding.
Yeah.
So trying to get sales of the tickets up will enable us to just support more bids.
Yeah, exactly. The more people play, the more people benefit.
Yeah. And in terms of those organisations that are bidding, are there restrictions on who can then bid into that pot? I'm guessing you need to be a Portsmouth-based
Yeah,
organisation first and foremost.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. PO1 to PO6, and to be doing good within the community. There are obviously certain things we can't support, but they're few and far between. Basically, if you're a community group or a charity doing good work in Portsmouth and you have a project or an area of work that you want to improve on, and £1,000 can go a long way for a lot of people. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Absolutely, and for some organisations, it's also a great means of support for other bids, because they can show that they've raised some money that another bidder might then match fund.
Yes.
So it further maximises the good that money's doing in the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. So that is the community lottery and how people sign up. We absolutely would like everyone that listens to the podcast that's connected with the city to go out, buy the tickets, get involved in the community lottery. Hopefully you'll win £25,000. But if not, you are safe in the knowledge that a big portion, almost 2/3 of that sale, is supporting good work in our community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned some of the other things that the Hive are doing. We're fast approaching the summer, at the end of the school term, which will then see sort of people looking for new school starters, and that whole school uniform bank probably gets quite busy over that period, I would imagine.
It really does. Yeah, it's incredibly popular, and we're in a really fortunate position at the moment. Historically, demand for the uniform has outstripped the donations we were getting in. We've had a massive influx of donations recently, to the point where we're having to say we can't take any more at the moment.
Wow.
While we're just sorting them all out. But it's a really good sign, because it means we have this huge bank of uniforms ready to be given out. And all people have to do to get a uniform is to fill out a really quick form on our website, their children's ages, genders, what sort of uniform they're after, and we'll package them all up, and then they can just come and collect them from the library. So it's really straightforward, really popular, really great for the environment as well, and just keeping costs down. We all know how expensive school uniforms are.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely support that kind of concept of recycling and reuse, and the benefits that has environmentally and financially for people. And it's just a massive expense, isn't it? School uniforms for parents.
It really is. And especially the logo stuff. And we do have a lot of logo uniform that is given to us. And, we make sure that it's all in good condition, and that it's all, ready to go, basically. So, I personally would use this share store. I think it's a fantastic initiative. Yeah. And they grow out of things so fast as well.
Yeah, and that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's before you spend out all that money, and before you know it, you're needing to replace it all. So why not reuse?
Absolutely.
So what's it? They call it the cyclic economy.
Yeah.
Circular economy.
Yeah.
So all for that. Great stuff. But obviously that help desk's there in the library.
Yeah.
People may have gone into the library and walked past it, because it's just on the left as you go in, isn't it?
It is.
And wondered what on earth's going on there. Or perhaps have just not been in the library at all and don't know that it's there. So if members of the public want help, what sort of things can they go and ask at the desk there?
Pretty much anything. We don't sort of directly help people as such. We do help people, but we don't provide that direct support. What we do is signpost people to exactly who will be able to help them. And our help desk staff are absolutely fantastic at just having this really in-depth knowledge of all the organisations working in the city. So if you're a bit of a dead end and think, I just don't know who to turn to, where to go, come to us and we will point you in the right direction, really, and make sure that you're getting the support that you need.
Absolutely. And I think, as you said, there are so many support groups, charities, professional routes to gain support around such a multitude of different things.
Yeah.
sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, so
Yeah.
you wouldn't go looking for something. Sometimes it's about knowing what range of services are available, but it's a great starting point to go for that first conversation, isn't
It
it?
is.
Where you don't know where to ask, but there's someone there that can signpost you in the right direction.
Absolutely. We've also got a Hive directory as well, which is an online service and constantly updated, which has got all of the details and a bit of a blurb about what all of the local organisations do. And you can filter it down by if you're looking to support with cost of living or mental health or dementia. You can just literally filter down exactly what you're looking for, and it will give you at a glance a list of organisations who might be able to support you. So that's another sort of way in which we try and signpost people in the city.
And that well-being piece is quite important. You
Yeah.
sort of mentioned it earlier on, and I suppose that the research around sort of health determinants and trying to avoid people needing
Yeah.
that hospital and medical attention. What? Because there's some obvious routes where the Hive are supporting voluntary groups around the city and helping to coordinate across stuff. But what does that piece, particularly the wellbeing piece, look
The
like?
Wellbeing Collective. So we work alongside the British Red Cross on it. And when people are discharged from hospital, what we were seeing historically was that a lot of people of a particular demographic, you know, maybe elderly, maybe vulnerable, maybe isolated, were very quickly being readmitted into hospital, but they didn't need to be. It was because they didn't have some quite basic support when coming out of hospital. So they were being readmitted when there wasn't really any medical need for them to be readmitted. And we found that by offering support with things like gardening or shopping or just a chat, having somebody to go around and have a chat and help them with their finances, all of those sort of day-to-day, non-medical, but really, really crucial services. So that's where we're trying to fill the gap. So we'll get the referrals in, we'll contact the person who's just come out of hospital or one of their relatives or friends, and we will then signpost them to places. So Good Gym work alongside us on this. A lot of their
Right.
volunteers will help people once they've been discharged. British Red Cross obviously do a lot of the sort of operational stuff. And yeah, we found that most importantly, people feel very supported, but also they're not being readmitted to hospital by nearly the same amount. And that's hugely beneficial in all sorts of ways.
Yeah, you mentioned in there something that keeps cropping up actually, which is that isolation
Yes.
piece. And I think it was a podcast we put out quite recently with Becky from Spark, who everyone must know that
Yes.
listens to this. There can't be anyone in the city that doesn't know Becky. But Becky said to me that isolation as a health impact is almost the equivalent of smoking 16 cigarettes a day.
Yes.
I don't know where that bit of research has come from, but that's quite impactful in
is.
terms of what it can do to people.
Yeah, it's true.
So yeah, sometimes it's just having somewhere to go and someone who can give you that help and link you in with a bit of support around that.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of difference.
It really does. Yeah. And the sort of digital exclusion that work that we do also fits in with that. It is so vital. It links in with the health stuff as well, because so many appointments now are online and your GP will do everything through an e-consult, and you need to be online. And for people who are isolated and, you know, they need that support to understand the basic skills of getting online so they can have that connection with the real world through the virtual world.
Yeah, and there's been a real shift around that actually, I think, in probably about 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more. You would go to different meetings, different forums, different groups, and people would talk about, oh no, we can't be exclusively digital because we've got to bear in mind the people that have not got digital access. That seems to have gone now. It's very much now seems to be organisations saying we are digital first, and we will prioritise being digital over all other forms of communication. And that there are still those people out there that haven't got that access.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially the elderly. And certain people with disabilities as well. Online can be a lot more complicated for people, especially around visual impairments and things like that. So that's another piece of work that we're looking at the moment, how we can specifically support disabled people and also refugees who, won't physically have an iPad or a phone or any means of getting online, and yet who absolutely need to in order to,
navigate that system.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, as a comms professional, you must see that more than most in terms of the shift of comms from all of those, we call them analog communication through to the digital media. It must have completely transformed your role.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it used to be, I'd spend a relatively small percentage of my time doing the online stuff, and now just increasingly it's just taken over, especially with all the AI stuff now, which is fascinating, but a completely different topic of conversation. But that's the way we're going.
Even more, just when you think you've kind of mastered what's going on currently, someone throws AI into the equation and a whole new set of skills.
Brave new world, isn't it?
It definitely is, and with that comes a whole new range of challenges for the VCSE sector.
Yes, absolutely. You can't get left behind, unfortunately, and that's a challenge that we're all facing, I think, moving at such a pace.
So, the Hive, we've kind of mentioned Portsmouth Library. You're in the library in the Guildhall Square, straight through the door on the left, really easy to find. The website is
www.hiveportsmouth.org.uk.
So quite easy to find, and a whole heap of resource there and ways people can ask for help, particularly with the school uniform recycling.
Yes.
So definitely with the amount that you've now got, urge people to make the most of that. Use it. It's a great resource and will save you some money. So loads of good stuff going on, and they're probably the best two ways to access it, through the website or through the help desk at the library.
Absolutely, yeah.
Brilliant. So we always like to finish off our podcasts by talking about something to do with Portsmouth and a recommendation of somewhere to go or something to do in the city. So what would be your Portsmouth recommendation, Helen?
Well, somewhere I spend a lot of time is Lily and Lime, which is a cafe which is on the 3rd floor of Central Library, where we're always based. It's an amazing initiative, really, which is run to give people with certain disabilities the chance to gain really valuable work experience through experience in the kitchen, through experience waitressing, and being a waiter. And they provide amazing cakes, amazing coffees. Service is always excellent. It's a great initiative and a lovely location. So they're based on 3rd floor of Portsmouth Central Library, Lily and Lime.
It's a really easy one to find, isn't it? Straight off the Guildhall Square. Bit of a hidden gem that probably a lot of people don't know about.
Yes.
But Minstead Trust, who run it through their Empowering Employment programme, and I'll give a shout out to Chris Hillman, who's one of our Shaping Portsmouth non-executive directors, who manages that programme for Minstead Trust. But always a great welcome up in Lily and Lime. You can't help but mention the cake, can you? Really, it's and certainly wrong time of year now. But my recommendation to anyone would be to go there now and enjoy the coffee and the cake, but go back at Christmas and have their mince pies, which are absolutely outstanding.
They are.
They're very, very good. So that's a good shout. And of course, if visiting Lily and Lime, you can also say hello to the Hive team on the desk.
Yes.
And there's quite often stuff around the desk, information, stuff. I think the last time I went and spoke to anyone at the desk, I got given a free wellbeing book, which was quite nice. So always lots of things going on there. So pay a visit. But most of all, please visit the Portsmouth Community Lottery website. We will include a link with the podcast. So if you're listening to this, look below. Please sign up, buy some tickets, select whichever charity you like, but we'd love it if you went for the Portsmouth Community Lottery one, so that money went into the grant fund and helped lots of organisations across the city. Anything else in the Hive calendar coming up that we need to watch out for, highlight for people? There's always loads going on.
Always lots going on. The big thing really for us at the moment that we're working towards is the Great South Run.
Oh, yeah.
So last year we did get together a team for the Great South Run. Unfortunately, it was cancelled, but we all did our 10-mile runs sort of independently. And we're just trying to raise a bit of money for ourselves as Hive Portsmouth so we can continue to provide the support that we're offering. But yeah, we are putting a team together. So if anybody is interested in running for us, that would be amazing. And all the details are on our website. Other than that, we're really looking forward to all the events over the summer and just getting out in the community.
Anyone interested in running the Great South Run, then worth checking in with the Hive. Might still be availability in the team.
Yeah.
And raise some money, and the good thing about supporting the Hive is the money you raise can then support loads of different organisations, as we've already established. So loads of good stuff, and I'm really hoping that later in the summer we'll be running the City Alliance at Victorious Festival with the Hive again, and Portsmouth Creates, and Portsmouth Pride, which was brilliant last year. So yeah, always lots of stuff going on. So thanks for coming in and telling us about that, and particularly the community lottery, Helen, and hopefully we will see some local winners as a result of tickets being bought soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. This podcast was brought to you by Shaping Portsmouth, working to make Portsmouth the #1 UK city in which to invest, live, learn, work and visit. To find out more, please visit shapingportsmouth.co.uk. This podcast was supported by Spark Community Space and Portsmouth Community Lottery.